In my last video, I said DeMarcus Cousins was a perfect tragedy. And I said that because, on the surface, it was perfect. Top-level high school guy, top-level college guy, top 5 pick in the NBA draft, multi-time All-Star, All-NBA selections. You get the point. But there were underlying themes behind his story and situations that he got himself into or he was forced into that make it a tragedy. Josh Jackson's just a tragedy, guys. Like, straight up, Josh Jackson is a tragedy. I'll say you how good he was coming out of high school. He was viewed as one of the best in the country, if not the best in the country. He was given a 102 grade by 24/7 Sports, the highest the site had ever given. Jeff Meyer, basketball analyst, had 2 things to say about Josh Jackson. In my 14 years in the business, Josh Jackson is the top shooting guard I've ever scouted. And he also said this. I said last year that Kobe Bryant comes to mind when scouting Jackson. Great to throw a name out like that for such a young guy, but Detroit native has a lot of the same things that Bryant had that made him a star coming out of Philadelphia's Lower Merion High School in 1996. Yeah, that's a lot of high praise. But Josh Jackson was great. He would commit to Kansas, play for Bill Self, average 16.3 points per game, 7.4 rebounds per game, 3 assists per game, 1.7 steals per game, 1.1 blocks per game on 51.3% shooting from the field. He was named the Big 12 Freshman of the Year, first team All Big 12, and third team All American. And after losing to Oregon in the Elite 8, Josh Jackson would hire former NBA point guard B.J. Armstrong as his agent, and he would go 4th overall to the Sacramento Kings. He was again praised for his all-around game. He could score, he could rebound. He was viewed as one of the best defenders, if not the best defender in the 2017 class. And as well as having a good playmaking ability, Jackson was viewed as a top-level prospect. He drew comparisons to guys like Kawhi Leonard, Jimmy Butler, Paul George, and Andre Iguodala. And again, he was just viewed as an all-around guy. And next to Devin Booker, that's what they needed. So he actually showed off in the summer league. 17.4 points per game, 9.2 rebounds per game, 1.6 assists per game, 1.2 steals per game, 1 block per game, first team all summer league. And then rookie year, struggled a little bit at the beginning. At the All-Star break, he averaged 11.2 points, 4.7 rebounds, and 1.6 assists on 40.6% shooting from the field. However, it stretched after the All-Star break, where he averaged 18.7 points per game, 5.9 rebounds per game on 43.8% shooting from the field, was promising. Because of his improvement in the post-All-Star break, he would average 13.1 points per game, 4.6 rebounds per game, and 1.5 assists per game. And he scored a career-high 36 points on March 17th against the Warriors. However, the interesting part about his rookie year, for me at least, was he averaged more points in losses than in wins. Now, the Suns lost a lot, so that could be something you can take with a grain of salt, honestly. But it did seem like he was having somewhat of a negative impact on the team. And of course, the Suns, being as bad as they were, would land the first overall pick, draft DeAndre Ayton, a talented center out of Arizona. And the Suns were expected to have a bright future, with Devin Booker establishing himself, and DeAndre Ayton being as good as advertised. And Josh Jackson carrying last season's post-All-Star break improvement over to this season. And 2 of those things happened. And Josh Jackson improving and carrying the post-All-Star break improvement from last season wasn't one of those 2 things. He averaged 11.5 points a game, 4.4 rebounds a game, and 1.5 assists per game in the second year. Now, his point per game post-All-Star break would increase again, this time to 12.6, but he was shooting under 40% from the field during that stretch post-All-Star break. So that's what happened. Yeah. Of course, he would be traded to the Memphis Grizzlies in a trade that involved 50-year-old man Javon Carter, and he's currently going to start the year in the G League. But there are other things I want to talk about with him. There was an incident, he had a vandalism case in college actually, where him and a teammate vandalized a female's car. The female happened to be a Kansas basketball player and also happened to be his teammate's ex-girlfriend, so he had to deal with that. He had to do anger management courses. He had to do all sorts of things, community service, everything you expect from a case like this. But again, it just seemed like an outlier situation at the time because Josh Jackson was viewed as a very good kid. Reggie Rankin said, "He's one of the most pleasant guys I've ever been around. Always greets me with a hug, great personality, just a really nice kid." UConn point guard Alberto Gilbert said this: "It's easy to notice the difference in Josh on the court and Josh off the court because he's so different. Off the court, he's easygoing. Just a nice guy." And again, he wasn't a jock either. In high school, he started a chess club. He played the saxophone in the 7th grade. This wasn't your typical jock that you would see this kind of thing happen from, at least in stereotypes and movies like this are. But the situations would get worse. Of course, Josh Jackson now being traded to Memphis isn't a bad situation, but what happened this past offseason did not help at all. On May 12th, he was arrested in Miami at the Rolling Loud concert because of his attempts to enter the VIP entrance, and after that, attempting to run from police resisting arrest. On June 2nd, Lorena Villa, who had a child basically with Josh Jackson, went to pick up their daughter from Josh's house. Lorena said she smelled marijuana when she picked her up. She also stated the child appeared to be high after visiting Josh Jackson on May 22nd. Now, Josh had this to say: "The people in this house will tell you I don't do that when she's around or before I see her, so say what you want." Now, I believe this case is ongoing. I don't know any of the details as what everyone else knows, so I can't make a fair judgment on the case. But I do find it odd, again, that he's just viewed as a nice guy coming out of high school, and then all this happens. Now, personality traits aren't the main indicator of one's actions. You can be a really nice guy and still make bad decisions. So again, you can take that with a grain of salt, but I just find it interesting, all the situations he's gotten himself into. Especially the car one, to me, though, surprises me the most because it involved anger. And again, Josh just seemed like a really nice guy. But so maybe it was a persona. Maybe it was you don't see what he's like when he's not on the camera. But again, I remember hearing about a case where he threw up in practice. There might be some drug things going on with him right now. I can't confirm that, but the marijuana thing, plus him throwing up in practice and being sent home, it's not a good look on Josh Jackson right now. Again, they'll start the year in the G League, but it's a tragedy we have because he is really talented. Watch him at Kansas, watch him in high school. Awesome player, showed a lot of potential, but there is things that were holding him back, and they were all in his head. And the thing is, these are the worst. It's the worst kind of tragedy because it's a tragedy where you can't necessarily help yourself. It wasn't caused by an injury. It wasn't caused by someone screwing you over. It wasn't caused by being put in situations to set up the bail. It's just everything in his head. And he did it to himself, and it's really sad. But again, watching him in high school, watching him in college, it looked like at times he would be the first overall pick. There were. If Markelle Fultz wasn't so good, there's a chance Josh Jackson goes first overall. If Lonzo Ball wasn't playing like a young Jason Kidd, there was a chance Josh Jackson was going first overall. If he didn't botch that interview or that workout, I'm not going to say botch, it was just a timing thing, but had that interview and that workout with the Celtics gone differently, maybe the Celtics keep that pick and take him first overall. Now, but the problems still are at large though. For everything he's done, everything in high school, everything in college, and everything make it to the NBA, it's a perfect setup. And much like a bad movie that has a good start but the ending ruins it, that's what it is. Josh Jackson, you get anticipated. You see him in high school. You see all the hype surrounding him. You say, man, what's he going to do in college? He beasts out in college. Like, man, I can't wait to see him in the NBA. And then he flails out of the NBA. At least not yet, but it does look that way. Now, maybe he improves in Memphis. Maybe a change of scenery was what he needed to kind of see where he's at right now. But right now, as somebody who looks like he could be out of the league after only a few years, it goes down as one of the bigger busts of the 2010s. And it's really sad, though, because much like Andrew Wiggins, you see the talent. And I don't want to name drop Andrew Wiggins, but it is. You see the talent. But the thing is, it's different in a way. Because what Josh Jackson's talent is being held back by isn't that he isn't trying hard enough. Well, to an extent, maybe. But it's the fact that someone with this competitive nature, someone with this kind of potential, isn't working out in the NBA. With that being said, what are your thoughts on Josh Jackson? Do you think he can bounce back in Memphis? Do you think he's out of the league? Do you think he's a bust? Are you still going to give him a chance? What are your thoughts on this situation on and off the court? Again, have a nice day, guys. And tune in for more videos. Like and subscribe if you're new. Links to my social medias will be in the description as always. And have a nice day.